Hey everyone, this is week 1, day 4's recording. Just wanted to quickly, before I go over today's stuff, I wanted to just quickly recap some of the previous day's stuff just to make sure everyone is kind of keeping up and following along up to this point. Kind of like I was telling you on the first day of class, there's a few things, there's always going to be a few things from each day that I will specifically say that you need to know, that you need to write down, that might be on a quiz. Just I want to go back and cover the specific things from the previous days that you might, the things that you want to take away the most from each of those days. So day 1, obviously, in class, the first day, the big things that you would only be quizzed on something from that day. I mean, obviously, it was mostly just an introduction day and talking about the job. But the specific things that I do want you to know from that day are just some of the FAR items that we covered in the class outline. Some of the questions you might see on a quiz would be, how old do you have to be to become an aircraft dispatcher or to get your dispatch license? Another question would be, how many hours of instruction do you need to complete in order to get your dispatch license? From day 2, biggest takeaway from day 2, and I think I put it in that specific video as well. Day 2, though, the general things are just understanding the basic theory and cause of weather, and that the sun is the primary cause of all weather on the earth, and that is specifically the sun's uneven heating of the earth's surface, and how it is what causes the weather. The other thing from day 2 is the composition of the atmosphere, that it's made up of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and then 1% of just other cumulative gases. So just know those things. Day 3, yesterday's video, the big takeaway from that is, first of all, understanding ISA, which is, ISA stands for the International Standard Atmosphere. But ISA is something that you absolutely need to know in the class. It'll be used quite a bit, especially later on once we get into flight planning. But ISA, the International Standard Atmosphere, what it means to us is that we always assume a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius and a pressure of 29.92 on your barometer, altimeter setting, and that's all at mean sea level. So 15 degrees Celsius at mean sea level. And then the other side of knowing ISA is understanding what we call the lapse rate. The lapse rate will be gone over more today specifically, but the lapse rate means for us that as we increase in altitude, starting at mean sea level, going up, for every 1,000 feet we go up in altitude, we lose 2 degrees Celsius of temperature. So 1,000 feet would be 13 degrees Celsius, 2,000 feet would be 11 degrees Celsius, and so on and so forth as you continue to climb up. So that is what ISA equals, and just understanding the principle of what ISA is, what it stands for, International Standard Atmosphere, and what temperature and pressure setting it represents. Remember, that's 15 degrees Celsius at mean sea level with a pressure setting or an altimeter setting of 29.92. The other thing from day 3 is you need to know different cloud types. Just be able to distinguish between the different types of clouds and what those cloud types, what type of weather that they are associated with. And then for today, let me open this up really quick. So for today, you need to know, you're going to be looking at fog, ice. Like I said, you're going to be looking at the temperature lapse rate. Also look at the convection principles. What convection is it is the basic process of how weather is created. Convection basically means heating of the Earth's surface, first of all, and how it causes clouds to form by heating the Earth's surface, causing moisture to evaporate and be lifted up into the air. And so when you're looking at the stability instability section here, that's really mostly what it's talking about, is what's called that whole process of the Earth's surface being heated, moisture being pulled up into the air by evaporation, and then as it reaches a certain altitude, it begins to cool, forms clouds, forms rain, forms thunderstorms. That entire process is called the adiabatic process. And there's different things with that lifting process, the convection. So just know about those processes. Obviously, know about the temperature lapse rate. Going back to the fog and the ice on the top here, I need you to be able to name 3 or 4 different types of fog, or all. Well, actually, sorry, I'm not going to say just 3 or 4. Be able to name all of the different types of fog, what causes them, the formation and dissipation, and all of the different types, and how each one is associated. I mean, there's types of different fog. There's steam fog, radiation fog, advection fog, upslope fog. There's all types of different fog that you're going to read about, and you're going to see some videos on stuff as well. Be able to just name the different types and how they are formed, essentially. And then ice. This is specifically talking about ice that forms on airplanes. So there's a couple of different types of ice. You'll need to know those, the causes, the formation, and what kind of hazards are associated with each of those types of icing. And then lastly, you're going to get into turbulence, be able to distinguish between the different types of turbulence and what is associated with each of those types. The jet stream turbulence, pressure pattern recognition, low-level wind shear, mountain wave turbulence that's associated with thunderstorms, and then clear air turbulence. You're going to need to know about each one of those, as there may be potential quiz questions on any one of those different types. So there is a reading assignment associated with this. I think on this one it's best to read first and then watch the video links. So, sorry, let me go back into this. The video links are on the bottom of this. I have gone in and tested all 3 of these. They all work. And then the reading assignment, this, once again, it is a little bit of a lengthier reading assignment. Shows 35 pages here. However, as normal, there still are a lot of different graphics and things, so it's not, 35 full pages as you would expect it to take longer. But it still is a good amount of reading and a lot of information, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about each of the subjects that you're looking at today. If anybody has any issues or problems, as always, email, text me, and hopefully this one goes well for everybody, and let me know if there's any issues.